Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I hope you enjoy and find this tutorial easy for you to make, and I appreciate you a lot for joining me. Let's get started. So this is the pearl beaded bag design we are going to make today. I have in front of me 8mm pearl bead. So look for your choice of color in 8mm and let's start beading. I'm going to use 50-pound fishing line. And we are going to use a cutter. Today I'm using scissors, anything that will cut your line. Okay, let's get started. We are going to start with 5 bead. This 5 bead. So I'm going to put all these 5 bead on the line. So this is the 5 bead we are going to start with. I put all 5 bead on the line and I'm going to hold the other end of my line and cross the last bead and pull like this. Now on each line I put 2 on the line. Okay, then I'm going to cross both ends of my line into this one, cross, and I'm going to pull it down like this. So this is what we have. And now on each side of my line again, I'm going to put 2 on my line and I'm going to cross with this one and pull like this and pull. So as you can see, we start with 5 and the rest 2 rings are 6 in the ring. Now we are going to make one more 6. So I put 2 bead on each line, then I'm going to cross both ends of my line into the 5th bead and pull. Then I'm going to continue to make 6 of the rings. Okay, this one, 1 2 3, I'm going to continue to make 6. So I complete with my 6. Then we start with 5, then 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now we are going to end this row with 5 bead. So this is how you pick the bead, and I'm going to hold the last one and cross it with my other line and pull. And now we turn to the side and continue our second row. So now we start with 5, 1 2 3 4 5 6, then we end with 5 again. That's how we are going to start. Okay, your first row should be like this. Now let's continue. So on the second row, this line, I add 5 bead to my line. I'm going to cross and pull. Now I'm going to go into 2 bead, 1 2, this 2 bead. I pull my line through this 2 bead, and the number of bead I'm adding 3 bead. Add 3 bead. I'm going to go into the next bead, this 2 bead. Okay, I'm going to go to the next 2 bead, and I add 3 bead to my line. That'll be my left line. Into the next 2 bead, add 3 bead to your left line, cross and pull. Into the next 2, 3 bead. Into the next 2 bead, 3 bead. Into the next 2. Now we are coming to the end of this row. I'm going to my next 2. I add 3 bead. I'm going to go through the next 2. That's the last 2 we have on this row. I add 3 bead to my line. Now this one I'm going to pull my line through the last bead at the edge over here. And on my right line, the same line I used to go through the bead, I add 3 bead, and this line 1 bead. Then I'm going to cross, hold the last one of the 3. I'm going to cross my left line into that one and pull. That way my line turn on the side again. Then we are going to start the 3rd row. I add 5 bead to my line. And I'm going to cross and pull. Now over here too, we are going to go through 2 bead and add 3 to it. So into the next 2 bead. This one is the 1st, 2nd. Then I add 3 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead. Three bead. So here, this is our 1st and 2nd row, and we are going to repeat the same thing over here we did for the 2nd row. Okay, we are going to go through 2 bead and add 3 bead to it. So into the next 2, 3 bead. Into the next 2 bead, 3 bead. So this is what we are going to repeat. Continue up to the end. Go to 2, 2, add 3, 2 bead, add 3, 2, you add 3 bead to it. Now I'm in the last 2 bead over here. I add 3 bead to my line. Then I'm going to go through this one. Put my line through this last bead at the end, and now be adding 3 bead on my right side and 1 on the left. I'm going to hold the last one of the 3 and cross my right line into it and pull. That way my length turn on the side. Then we start the 4th row. Now we are going to start again. On this line, I'm adding 5 bead to my line, and this will be the 4th row that we are starting. I'm going to pull my line through 2 bead again, this and this one, into the 2 bead. Then I add 3 bead like this. So we are going to continue. Go to 2 and add 3 bead to your line and cross it to the end. So continue to make yours, and I also continue to make mine. So I go through 2 bead and add 3 to it. And now I'm in my last 2 bead. I'm going through my last 2 bead. I add 3 bead. Now I'm going to go through the last bead over here. This bead on the edge. This one right here. So I pull my line through, and I'll be adding 3 bead to this line and 1 on this one, like this. And we are going to cross and turn our line on the side to start a new roll again. Now I'm going to flip over to my side again. So now we are starting the 5th row. So on my left line, I add 5 bead to it. I add 5 bead to my line, cross and pull. Now we are going to continue going through our 2 bead and add 3 to it. This 2 bead, I'm going to pull my line through. 3 bead. Into the next 2, I add 3 bead to my line. Now we are going to go through 2 and add 3 bead to our line. We are going to complete this row, and now I'm in my last 2 bead, this 2 bead. I'm going to go through the next 2 and I'll be adding 3 beads. I'm going to go through my last bead again. Then I'll be adding 3 beads on one side and 1 on the right side. I'm going to cross and pull like this. Pull. That way our lengthen on the side, so we can start on our 6th row. So again, I add 5 beads to my left line. I'm going to cross and pull. And over here too, we are going to repeat the same thing. I'm going to go into the next 2 beads, and I'll be adding 3 beads to my line. I go to the next 2, I add 3 beads. Into the next 2 beads, 3 beads. So we are going to repeat the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the 6th one. We are going to complete the 6th row. Do it complete. 10 and do 7 and 8. We turn again and do 8. So we are going to do 8 rows in all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are going to complete the 6, do 7 and 8. Then I'll meet you back here. Okay, 7, 8. That's what we are going to do. 8 in all. Now I'm back. Here is my line. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now I'm about to complete the 8th row. I'm on the 8th row. I'm about to complete. So my line is in the last 2 beads. So now I'm in the last 2 beads over here. I add 3 beads to my line. And I'm going to enter the last bead. I'm going to put my line through the last bead. And I add 3 beads and 1 on the line. I add 3 to my right line and 1 on my left line. I cross and pull. That way my lengthen again on the side for me to start another row. This is how it's looking like. So when you count all the rows, it's 8. Now we are going to start the 9th row. So here, over here, it's going to change a little bit of the counts. So this line, this is where my line is, okay? In the corner over here, we are going to change the count of bead. This line, I add 4 bead. Like this. Now I'm going to go into the next 2 bead and add 3 bead. Cross and pull. Now into the next 2 bead. I add 3 bead to my line. I'm going to go into the next 2 and add 3 bead. We are going to go into the next 2 bead. So I add 3 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead, 3 bead. I'm going to go through all these bead, 2 bead, and add 3 to my line. So now I'm in my last bead. I add 3 bead to my line. Like this. So now you see we have 5 and 5 on the corner. So we are going to turn again and start a new row. I'm going to pull my right line into the next bead. Then I'll add 4 bead to my left line. Like this. And I'm going to cross with my right line and pull. Now we have to start the 2 again. We are going to go into the 2 bead pull my line through 2 bead and add 3 bead to my left line. 3 bead. I'm going to go into the next 2 and add 3 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead, then I'll add 3 bead again. I'm going to go into the next 2 bead and now add 3 bead. Cross and pull. So as you can see, we are going to go into 2 2 and add 3 bead. Go to 2 and add 3, like how we are doing it. Now I'm in my last 2 bead. These 2 bead, okay? I'm going to pull my line through the next 2. Three bead. Now we are going to turn again. I'm going to flip it over to my side. Then I'm going to enter the next bead. I'm going to pull my line into the next bead. Then I'll add 4 bead to start a new row. Into the next 2 bead, I add 3 bead to my line. We are going to continue to repeat the same way we are weaving until we complete this row again. I'm going to go into the next 2 bead and now be adding 2 bead. I'm going to continue to do the same way, and you also continue to do yours. Now I come into my last 2 bead. I'm going to enter the next 2 bead, okay? Then I'll add 3 bead. This line, 3 bead. And now I'm going to enter the next bead. I'm going to pull my line through the next bead again. Then I'll start my row with 4 bead. Now I'm going to start the 2 2 and add 3 into the next 2 bead. And I'll add 3 bead to my line. So let's take a look at what we have here. This is the shape we have so far. This is 1 2 3 4, and we are going to continue to make 8. We make 8 over here. We are going to continue to make another 8 at the end. Okay, we are going to repeat the same row on this side to 1 2 3 4. This one we are going to leave it. We are going to leave it. We are not going to count it. We are going to count from here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, so you have to make 8. The middle you are not going to count. 4 5 6 7 8 over here. Leave this one, leave this row alone, and continue your 8. Continue to make yours, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, now I make 7 rows, and now I'm going to start my last row, which is the 8th row. And I want to show you the number of count we are going to use to start the 8th row. I'm going to add 3 bead to my line. We are going to start this 8th row with 3 bead. Okay, I'm going to cross and pull. So now I'm going to go into the next 2 bead. Next 2 bead, and add 3 bead to your line. We are going to continue to repeat the same way we start with 5. Did you see? 5 and 5 on the corners. 3 bead. I'm going to go into the next 2 and add 3 bead. So we are going to repeat the same to the end. To the next 2 bead, 3 bead. So now I'm about to complete this row. I'm adding 3 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead. This is the last 2. I'm going to pull my line through and now be adding 2 bead. So here I complete with 2 bead like this. I'm going to tie and weave the rest of my line into the bead before I trim it off. So over here I'm just weaving my line into the bead and trimming. So now this is what we have. Okay, this is the shape we have. Very beautiful design, very beautiful weave. This is what we have, and we are going to start these 2 bead, these 2, this and this. I'm going to pull my line through. We are going to weave on the edge of this shape. So I'm going to start with 4 bead. I pull my line through the 2 bead, then we are starting with 4 bead. Now we are going to go into 2 bead and add 3 bead into the next 2. I add 3 bead to my line. We are going to go into the next 2 bead. This line, 3 bead. Cross and pull into the next 2. Three bead. I'm going to pull my line through the next 2 bead again and add 3 bead. So this is what we are going to repeat on the edge round the shape. Okay, go to the next 2. So this is how it's looking like. This is how it's looking like. So this is what we'll be repeating around this shape. We are going to go round, go to 2 and add 3 bead. You go round the shape and complete it. And this is how it's looking like. So we are going to go round and complete. Do yours and I'll meet you back. So if you complete yours, this is something you should have. Okay, this is how it's looking like, very round in shape. Now we are going to go halfway on the shape. I'm going to pull my line through these 2 bead. So I pull my line through these 2 bead and I'm going to start with 4 bead. So I add 4 bead on my left line, cross and pull. And we are going to go halfway of this shape. Okay, up to here. We are going to start from here and end here. This is where we are going to end. So that's what we are going to do next. We go to 2 and add the 3. I'm going to go to 2 and add 3 bead. So we are going to continue using the same technique that we use and repeat the same thing throughout the entire weave. I'm going to 2 and I'm adding 3 bead to my line. Into the next 2. I add 3 bead to my line. Go to 2 and add 3 bead. Go to 2 bead, add 3 bead. So this is what we have. We are going to continue round and end halfway. We are going to start from here. We are going to end over here. So if you end, this is how it's going to look like, and we have to make 2. Okay, so we have to make 2 of this and we are going to put it together, and this is where we start halfway. Okay, we did halfway. You have to repeat the same thing what we did for the second one too. And now let me show you how we are going to put these two pieces together. We are going to join them together. So lay them equally on the side. Make sure you have both ends together. Then we are going to ignore the first bead and go through the second bead, the second and the third bead, like this. Now I'm going to add one bead on my line, like this. This is the bead I add on my line. I'm going to ignore this and go to the second and third bead. So this is second and the third bead. I'm going to take one bead, cross both ends of my line into it, and pull down like this. Pull. Then again, I'm going to go through two bead and two bead on the top piece. So I'm pulling my line through the down piece into two bead, and also the top bead, I'm going to go through two bead on the top piece, like this. Then I'll take one bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull. You cross and pull. Now I'm going to go through two bead on the top. I'm going to hold my other line, go through two bead on the down piece. Now take one bead and crossing both ends of my line and pull into two on top piece. Now I'm going to go through two bead on a down piece. Then I'll take one bead and cross both ends of my line and pull into the next two bead on top piece, and now I'm going through the down piece again. Then I'll take one bead and cross both ends of my line into it and pull. So this is what we are going to repeat on this step. We are going to repeat this, go through two bead and add one bead, cross both ends of our line into one and pull. This is what we are going to repeat on this step. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also turn on your notifications for any new video that I'll be uploading, so you don't miss on any. Thank you. I thank you guys for always your love and support. Thank you so much. So this is how the side is looking like. If we put the two pieces together, we are going to continue. So we are going to continue with the same technique round until we complete. Now I'm about to complete mine. I'm now going through the last two beads on my bag. Going through these two beads, and now I'm adding one bead, cross both ends of my line and pull. So right here I'm just going to tie and then weave the rest of my line into the bead. Make sure it's well secured enough before I trim it off. So I'm just tying my line over here, and what I'm going to do next, I'll just weave it back into the bead. So weave it back, make sure it's well secured, then trim it off. This is how it's looking like so far. Very pretty already. It looks very beautiful. So now I'm just going to trim the rest of my line. Let me show you something. I'm pulling my line through two bead over here, okay? These two and this one. Now my line is in three bead. So if you fill your bag, you want to fill the side, maybe one step up, this is what you do. This is totally optional, okay? How to close it further, if you want to close it one step up, this is what you do. So I add three bead to my line, okay, like this. I'm going to pull my line through these two and this one. So that's three bead. So this is one, this is two, second bead, third bead. I'm going to add 2 beads to my line. This is totally optional. If you want to raise your side up to close it 1 step up, this is what you do to close it. Now I'm going to go through this bead, this, and the third one. So I'm going to go through this one into 2 over here, and the third one, this one. I'm going to add 2 beads, cross both ends of my line, and pull. This is totally optional. If you make the bag, you like the size, how it fits, you don't have to do this step. But if you want to close it 1 step up, this is what you do. That's what I'm showing it. Okay, so I'm just tying my line and then weave the rest of my line back into the bead and then trim it off. Just weaving my line, make sure it's strong enough. This is how it's looking like, and we do the same thing on the other side if that is your choice you want to do. Okay, this is how it's looking like. Now we have to pull handle on it. I make these 2 handles. This is a round handle that I made. We are going to put on it. So I have a video on how to make this round shape beaded bag on my channel. So if you want to learn it, please watch that video so you learn how to make it. So we are going to put handle on our bag, and I'm going to use 1, 2, 3 this 6 middle bead over here, this 6 bead. That's what we are going to attach our handle on. So I'm going to put my line through 1 bead over here. Put my line through 1. This is our handle. I'm going to put on it. To measure, if it lands in the middle, you have to measure it first. Now I'm adding 1 bead to my line. Then I'm going to go through a bead on the handle. I'm going to go through 1 bead on the handle, like this. Okay, this is how it's looking like. Now I'm taking 1 bead, cross my line, and pull. I'm going to go through the next bead, this line into the next bead. I'm going to hold the other line and go through a bead on the handle. Then I'll take 1 bead and cross my line and pull into the next bead, and on the bead, a bead on the handle. And I'm going to take 1 bead, cross both ends, and pull into the next bead on the handle. Take 1 bead, cross both ends of your line, and pull. I'm going to go to the last one, and on the handle too. I'm going to cross my line into this 1 bead and pull. This is how we attach the handle on the bag. So with this, I'm going to tie, then weave the rest of the line into the bead. Make sure it's well secured before I trim it off. I'm just tying my line over here, and then I'm going to weave the rest of the line back into the bead. If you tie the line, don't trim it right away. You have to weave it a little further into the bag. That's where you know the line is secured before you trim it off. So this is what we have to do to put the handle. And here we have to put the second one. We have to measure the middle over here and then put the second handle on it. And if you do, this is how it looks like. Very, very beautiful. Look at the beauty of this bag. So you can decide to put zip across it, or you make a belt across and put a hook on it, okay, to hold it either with your button or your hook, whatever you choose to put over there. So that is what we are going to make today. You can put zip or make a hook on it. Look at how pretty it looks like. Very pretty 6-sided beaded bag. Very, very beautiful. So I'm going to continue to make a little belt over here. I'm going to go through 2 beads. 1, 2. This is the 2 bead. I'm going to add 3 bead to my line. So this is how it's looking like, okay? I'm adding 3 bead to my line. I'm going to cross and pull. Then I'm going to pull my line again through 2 bead. This is the first and the second one. And I'm going to add 2 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead, I add 2 bead to my left line. Now this line, I add 3 bead. I add 2 bead, I go to the next bead, I'm adding 2 bead to my line. Cross and pull. This is a little belt we are going to create over here to cross over and then put our button on it. So let's continue to weave and create our belt. I'm going to the next bead and I add 2 bead to my line. Into the next bead, 2 bead. I'm starting with 3 bead. I'm going to come through the next bead. And now add 2 bead to my line. Into the next 2 bead. This is what you are going to create. You make it as long as you want, where you want it to be on the other side. That's how you create it. And if you're done, this is the belt that we are creating, okay? And I'm done with mine, and I put a little button in the front like this. And this is how it looks like. I just put a loop on the belt and hook it on the button. This is just a regular button that I use to hook on the bag. Very, very beautiful. This is how our bag is looking like. Very beautiful. Thank you for watching. I thank you for your time, and I'll see you in my next video. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also turn on your notifications for any new video that I'll be uploading. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you again. Bye.